more than 4 years ago, I was in the process of taking the role of my life that I really wanted. Went to the process, everything was a success. But I think the story that nobody knows is I discovered that I had some precancerous cells.
Tonight is all about fear of failure in business.
I was fired because what I have posted on social media.
Failure, it's an option in our company because I think it's the only way to give courage to our colleagues to try to grow the business.
I was such a big failure then, like I had this company, we had so much, sales, computers and so on. So everybody was ashamed, like, oh my God, what did you do? You failed. It was crazy. I was outcast by society, outcast by everybody.
My job in this company is not to be the smart guy in the room. I would like to be the stupid guy in the room, always.
The moment when I started to consider myself a good game developer, it was the moment when I realized that my chances to fail with a game are higher than the chances to succeed.
Be bold to take the step forward.
Hello everybody, welcome to I Love Failure podcast, Fear of Failure in Business. Please a round of applause just to get things started, if you could, it would help us. Thank you. So tonight is all about fear of failure in business, and my guests are from very diverse backgrounds, very diverse people with very diverse experiences. And I'm gonna start by introducing my guest, then we're gonna get into the podcast. So the first speaker is Farlei Kothe, which is the, Farlei, hello.
Hello guys.
Farlei is the CEO of Stefanini, used to be EMEA, and now is the CEO of the world, of North America. And, the whole, can you tell us? North Hemisphere. You have the...
Yeah, North America, that is US, Canada, Asia, Oceania, that is Japan, Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay, so he just took over the world, basically, with his
September 1st.
He's starting a new position. So a round of applause for Farlei, please. Thank you. Next, we have Lavinia. Lavinia Ivas, she's the ex-CEO of Douglas Parfum. Lavinia, welcome.
Welcome everyone.
Okay, next we have George Lemnaru. He is the founder and CEO of Green Horse Games. George, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Next, we have Corina Neagu. She's the HR strategist and she's doing a lot of things in HR. I'm not gonna joke about the cooking. Corina is gonna give us the perspective of the HR in these discussions, which is very important. We have CEOs and HR related people in this topic. Corina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody.
Okay, last but not not least. Okay, then we have Mihai Pătrașcu. Am I saying it right? Okay, Mihai Pătrașcu. He's the founder and CEO of evoMAG. It's like an EMEA, but evoMAG. Mihai, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, nice to meet you. Hello.
Okay, and now last but not least is Adina Vidroiu, the HR director of Microsoft for Romania and the Baltic countries and Hungary, right?
And CIS countries. So EurA stands for Europe and Central Asia and Hungary as they come together. Thank you once again for the invitation and hello to everyone.
Okay, so my name is Meșter Cătălin. I'm the founder of I Love Failure. So I'm the failure who started this whole thing. I'm gonna talk a little bit about myself, then we're gonna start with the failure story. Everybody has to share, this is like a tradition here, you have to share a failure story about professional or personal that really changed your life, just to think about. I didn't give them the questions yet, so they do it on the spot. So I love failure basically started in the worst period of my life. I'm an entrepreneur, like most of you here, and I felt so much that I could not even get out of the house. So basically, after failure, all the companies, I tried e-commerce, I tried everything, and at one point I could not. Fear of failure got to me so bad that I could not even walk to the park without being afraid of, I don't know what, you have to go back home. So fear of failure got like a very tight grip on myself. This is why I created I Love Failure. And the thing was, at that time, was that I thought everybody had it figured out. Everybody was like wearing this mask that everything is okay, and I thought I was the only one. Like, okay, I was like 30 at the time. What am I doing with my life? Everybody seems to have it figured out. And one night I was at Tech Hub where I met George. He was doing very well with his gaming company. And it was an event there, and I met this guy. So it was like a business event, and I met this guy in networking who just had a failure. So just to give you a sample of how everything got started. So on the networking session, I met this guy, and he told me about his failure. He just failed with a startup. It was a very simple failure. He told me, look, my company failed, my wife left me, and so on. So I had this moment of vulnerability that he gave to me. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like, okay, I'm not the only one. That was all I needed just to make like the next step. And in my mind, it was okay, if this guy inspired me so much, what if these guys talking about their failures and being vulnerable would be on stage? And this is how I started the first I Love Failure event. And then I got courage from that because I saw I saw that we are not alone and we are more and more and more. Everybody's failing. So it got to the point where we now have events at opera houses all over Romania. And I Love Failure is getting bigger and bigger. So this is how everything got started, from one story of vulnerability. And that's why I think it's so important that everybody shares, especially in their position, like very powerful positions, to share, to show that even the dark side, of the business, which is, the business is very, very brutal, basically, when you come down to it, and very few succeed. Okay, Farlei, I'm gonna let you share a failure with us. So. The question is a failure that marked maybe a personal or professional failure that marked your future, basically. So if you have something that you can remember right now.
Well, I'm going to pick up some personal. First of all, I would like to tell you that I don't speak Romanian, so I need to go to my poor English anyway. So it's better than my Romanian, trust me. So let me pick up a personal failure, because it's happening. Even if I know it's failing a bit.
Yeah, we're gonna share.
Even if I know it is still happening. When you are in a corporate world, usually you need to work a lot. So when you work a lot, you are failing with someone. So if you are in this situation, you are not alone. Trust me. When you feel that you are successful, means somehow, somewhere, someone is missing you in a different place. So when I'm talking to my mom, she's telling me that I'm not a really good son because I'm not giving her the attention that I should. When I'm talking at home, my wife is telling me that I'm working too much. I should give more attention. Now I have a mini wife, that is my daughter, who's 6 years old, and 2 days in a row that I'm working until late. And when I'm arrived at home, she's already sleeping. It's happened this week. And when I'm waking up in the morning, I'm waking up in the morning at 6, and I'm leaving my house like 15 to 7, very early in the morning. She's still sleeping. And she told my wife, well, I believe that I lost my daddy because he doesn't love me anymore because he's not staying when I'm waking up and he's not here when I'm not around. So if you take a look, even if the people look outside with the steps in the corporate world go in the right direction, you always are going to have the feeling that you are missing something somewhere. In some cases, maybe you are performing well in your personal life and then you miss some steps on the corporate world. It is like this failure is part of our lives, you know. It's impossible. The beautiful, we have the lady from HR, we always say, you know, articles about work-life balance, etc. You are going to search for the work-life balance forever. Always you are going to miss that the balance is not going to be perfect never. So for me, it's a big failure because I'm trying to find the balance and I cannot find it in my personal life because I'm focused on the professional life a lot. Even when I'm at home, I'm trying to focus a lot on them. So for me, it's a failure in a personal side. Later, I can share another one in the professional side as well. Let me go to the next one.
Okay, so you are right about the work-life balance, and I know that I'm usually feeling a kind of frustration when I hear someone that that person succeeded to have a balanced life, and usually when it is about a professionally successful person, I'm wondering how they managed to do that. But this is not the topic I wanted to talk about today. One, I think, professional but also personal failure of mine was to allow myself to get into a burnout 14 years ago. This was basically the time of the recession. And I was working really a lot. This is how you get into burnout. And I didn't pay attention on that until I reached a point where I was sleeping 4 hours a night and I lost 7 kilos. And 7 kilos minus, you can imagine. So it was that point when I realized I have to stop it. And basically, I decided to resign the company I was working for, and I stepped out. And it was a moment for me to rethink what I want to do in my life. And I took a sabbatical time. The good part is that I could have that choice to take a sabbatical time and rethink my career, and frankly, the decision I made in that period were the best for me and proved to be the best for me. I attended an executive MBA in Vienna. Then Douglas came to me, and for 14 years I was their CEO. So sometimes, even if you are feeling that you are losing something, because when I left the company that I was talking about, everyone was telling me, no, you cannot go. First of all, I was in charge of the company. And second, it was a recession. So everyone was telling me, you will not be able to get a job because now a lot of people are fired. Yeah. But you need to decide what is most important for you and be bold to take the step forward. So this is what I wanted to share. And I think, as I said, it's both a professional failure in a way, but also a personal failure because I didn't pay attention to myself enough at that moment.
Thank you.
I'm seeing so many young faces, and now if I'm talking about my, let's say, professional life, like looking at the moment when I had a failure, I have to look back to 2003. So in 2003, we, just to people that are very young, we had internet. There's still dinosaurs roaming. There's still dinosaurs roaming on the streets in Bucharest, at least. but wanted to let you know that we still have internet in 2003. So basically, there are 21 years of entrepreneurship. Probably, like there are hours that I could spend talking about how many times I failed. But I want to point out the thing that you said. It's like I was at Tech Hub and I was doing well. I don't remember doing well in the period that I was at Tech Hub. I remember the great energy that was there, a great community, great people that I met there, and they were very supportive. But there were years of struggle business-wise. Of course, there were like small wins, but mostly we're struggling. And why we're struggling? Because in the past 18 years? Yes, 18 years. I'm in the mobile gaming industry, which is a very high risk, high reward, which basically means that if you start to work on a game, you have more than 95% chances not to even launch the game. I'm not talking about being financially successful. So most of the teams do not manage to finish building that game. If you build that game and you put it on market, there are many planets that need to be aligned in order to be successful. And you need to be there, to stick there, to fix that game, and then 2 years later to realize that, oh, that wasn't a good idea. This will not work out. It happened to me. I was surprised in those kind of meetings when at some point I met somebody that I knew, and he was asking me, "Hey, George, how are you doing?" And I said, I'm working on a new game." And he said, "Oh, knowing you for sure is going to be a successful game." And I was like, "Oh yeah," because I don't talk much about the games that were failures, where we lost so much money, time, and energy, and that one thing that you covered also. Most of the times we appear in the articles saying, "Oh, that guy is so successful. He raised so much money." And I went through this, and I have the experience. I know that when you raise money, it's not like, "Oh, your life will be much better now." No, you have more problems. And one thing that I learned, the moment when I started to consider myself a good game developer, an experienced game developer, it was the moment when I realized that my chances to fail with a game are higher than the chances to succeed. And this helped me tremendously, because this made me adapt the strategy of developing a new game and increase the chances for that game to be successful. Not above 50%, but still relevant enough. So that was a helpful thing. Maybe you expected the story, but I wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll pass the mic.
Okay, thank you, Georgia.
Okay, so when I talked to Cătălin, I told him that I don't believe in failure. And he still asked me to come here. Yes, I don't believe in failure. I believe in learning opportunities. And I think I was born gifted with a winner mindset. It means that I was always very positive, very optimistic, even in times when it was really hard for me. I lost many people. I lost lots of opportunities. I lost money, but I didn't give up. Never. I had the courage to go on and go on, and failure for me was never an option. Which means that that's why I don't really believe that failure for me exists in my life. It's a great opportunity to be here, to be alive, to be healthy. I'm in a relationship for 30 years this year with my husband. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have 2 amazing daughters. It was very difficult this year because one has passed an exam for high school and the other one for the university. Then they are both very happy. And I'm happy, of course, because I'm their mother, and it's good for me that it means that I raised them well. So this is something that I'm really proud of, but it's their effort. So in business, I have one business for 10 years now, never bankrupt, never, and it's still there. I still invest in it. I still invest in myself. And the other one, in gastronomy.
Some setbacks, not failures, but setbacks. You must have had some.
I don't. I think there was a time. There was a time. I can give you one example. I will not give you the name of the company. When I was fired because what I have posted on social media, which was not about that company, and I was asked by HR. I work in HR for more than 20 years. I was asked by HR once. I told them, look, but it's not about you. I mean, it's my account. I can write about everything that I want, everything that I feel, which I do every day, by the way. This was the first time. Then the second time, the same thing. I was asked even by the head of the company in Bucharest. It was an IT company. And then I was prepared for that. For that moment when HR called me, we will have a meeting in Bucharest. Of course, the head of the company in Bucharest was there, the HR was there, and they told me, look, I think our communication doesn't go very well. I knew that story already because, come on, I work in HR, I know how it works. And I was very happy because actually what I told them, look, if you don't fire me, I will resign anyway. So it's something, and that was it. It was not fair. I graduated law, so for me justice is a value and integrity is a value. But what can you do? I started all over again, and that was it.
Did you learn something from that experience? Something meaningful?
Yes, not to do that to anybody, never. Actually, I have my lessons from my parents. Some of them were really good, some of them were not very good. I had my lessons from my managers, of course, some bad, some not that bad. And I learned what to do and what not to do in real time. And I promised myself, look, this is something that I don't like. I will never do it to anybody in my life. I will never do it to my children. So I think this is how you grow, actually, and this is how you become wise, let's say. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I like stories. And I remember we started evoMAG in 2005, in May. And in December of May, with a lot of feel to be successful, to build a big company, to build an e-commerce company, because in that time we didn't know what we will build in many years. We received an order. We sold a lot of computers, phones, and components. And we received an order of 3 laptops. The laptops in 2005 were like something that was very new. And very young in the business field. I ordered the laptops, I give the laptops to some guys, and they said to us, okay, we don't have the money, but we pay to you 25% of the value of the laptops, and 75% we give you a check. That means, in my mind, that you don't give a check without a cover of money. That means maybe you go into jail. That's it. It's okay for me. I have trust. And everything was good. They come, they took the laptops, they go. 1 hour, 2 hours, I call, and nothing changed. The phone was closed. Okay, it's not a problem. Another day, the phone was closed. Okay. how it's working. You don't pay the laptops to the supplier. You pay the laptops in 30 days, or the components or everything that you sell. That means something is not good. And I said, okay, I don't have money to pay the goods, and this is a scam. Okay. And was a very, very hard moment at the beginning of the company when I looked to my two employees that were my best friends. One was my future wife. She doesn't know at the moment. And she didn't know at the moment. And another was one of my best friends. And I look on them and I say, okay, I don't have money to pay. I have a lot of dreams. And I will close the company now. Why? Because maybe I will go to make a job, to have a job to pay the bills. And it was a very tough, very, very tough moment. I remember now that moment, and I said, okay, what an entrepreneur has, and I think everybody has, is the power to think again, or to believe again. Okay, I believe I will manage this situation. And it's an internal stuff. It's not okay, you have a lot of friends that will say everything maybe to feel better. But an entrepreneur has this feeling, always to try to find a way to find a solution. And what happened? What I know as an entrepreneur is to work more. And I worked from December to February, I think 24, 48 hours, I'm not exaggerate, to put products on the site, to make deliveries, to make orders, everything. We put some, to make some marketing. In February, they think that we are so stupid, and they call us again. And they said, okay, now we want 6 laptops. The same guys. And when you have a trauma or something like this, you remember, and I remember the voice of that guy. They say, okay, we are some company, that different company. And I remember the voice of that guy. And they said only like this, no, wait, I'm not the guy. I give you I give it to the phone on someone else that will give you the company's information. And from that moment was like a very interesting story. We discussed with the police to make to make a scene and to catch them. And they catch them. And the story was like, okay, what was my amount of losing from the first story? Was 5,000 RON or something like this. Okay, they will buy anything that I will give. And I put, okay, if you want 6 laptops, pay me 5,000 in advance. That was the money that I lost in the first time. We catch them and we take the money back. But the moment that I remember was the feeling, the failure in that moment, and not the failure of the business. Okay, because I didn't know where we will go with this adventure, but the feeling that I will fail. 2 guys in front of me that believe in my crazy idea to have an e-commerce. And it's an interesting story, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. E-commerce is brutal. It's brutal.
With the success at the end.
Yeah.
I just want to go back. I'm thinking that it's challenging to talk at the end, because you kind of, you have the work-life balance.
You want to be first, you don't want to be last.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I just want to go back to something that you were kind of, saying when you asked the question, which is also related to crossroads, either during your professional life, but also personal life. And it's also about, I think, when we look at people in general, we tend to see the success. And I think in our world today, we have a tendency to see the success and rather not kind of choose not to see also what is behind that success. And I think for me, the story that I want to share, which is many people will see it as a success, but many people do not know what was happening behind the scenes when that happened. And it goes back to a crossroad in my life as a, let's say, a HR professional, but also in my personal life. So more than 4 years ago, I was in the process of taking the role of my life that I really wanted tremendously, which is the role that I'm having with slight changes today, which is the HR director role. And then went to the process, everything was a success. Happy, happy, joy, joy, the way we say it. But I think the story that nobody knows is what was happening behind the scenes. And behind the scenes, you have a person who worked all her life, an overachiever. This is what I was kind of the drive. This is what was instilled by my parents and my family. Always kind of, the golden kid that needs to be successful, that needs to have a career and so on. That kind of coupled with what was happening also on personal, in my personal life, led to something that was basically the moment where I started to revisit everything that I knew about myself and also what I learned throughout the years, which was that I discovered that I had some precancerous cells, which led to a surgery. And that was the moment, I think, that was a crossroads for me, because I needed to stop. And I needed to stop to breathe and really understand what's happening. I didn't do it while I was going through the process. So just for you to understand, I learned about it. You enter kind of, an entire protocol when you have a question mark about if it's cancer or not. And you need to go through a lot of exams. And those are taking a lot of time, 2 to 3 weeks. And during that time, like any other person, you start reading and you start having scenarios. And then I become quite educated in reading articles that are published by different universities in US and across the world, simply because Google was not enough. But I didn't give up. That was the period where I was going through the selection process. So while I was waiting my results to see what's there or what's not there, I was also going to the process. And I think one of the conversations that stick with me that I was talking back then with the hiring manager and saying, listen, and they asked me, are you sure you want to go through this? Don't you want to kind of focus on your personal life? It will be okay, there will be other roles. Then comes the overachiever and saying, no, this is what I want to do. I want to do it now. I have time, I have space. Not a problem. I said, the only request I have is to finish by 16th of December. And then they looked at me, and she looked at me and she said, why? I said, because I have my surgery on 16th. So I went through the process, quite a bit on denial at that point. I think it was also a coping mechanism in the sense that helped me to have my mind set up on something different rather than focusing and thinking about what the results will be at the very end. Went to the process, had the surgery. I'm one of the lucky cases. It was not a positive outcome, so it was benign, and everything was okay. But after that moment and taking the role and then celebrating, you start thinking, what if? And what was there? And what led to that? Because if I go back 6 months before that moment, nothing was there. Nothing, absolutely nothing. The results are there. And then I started to reflect a bit more what I was doing, how I was doing, what I was investing in as time. And this is when it hit me. And that was kind of the moment that I realized that it's a crossroad, but it's also kind of, if you want to see it from that perspective, a failure because I failed myself, but also a success because I realized how to move further, and then how important it is to put yourself first, regardless of what's happening around you. Opportunities come and go, success come and goes, but the way we are and the way we are defined, that stays with us.
E-commerce is brutal. This is what I want to say. I had an experience similar to yours. Give me the... We have only one mic, so basically, my first failure was something like this. My best friends, which sold me computers at the time, we were all in the same game. Computers were the only thing to sell. Congrats on making it in that brutal space. And these guys sold me merchandise for, 5 years. We had no problems. We had absolutely, paid them all the time. And one day I go to their, get the merchandise from them, and they say, look, we have some people here. We want to give you some monitors on the invoice, but we are going to give you the monitors later, something like that. But we cannot give you the receipt. Just get the invoice and, whatever. I said, okay, they are my friends. I'm going to help them with this, whatever it is. It was a big amount. But my friends, why should I care? Five years of partnership, what could go wrong? The second I went out the door, they did this to all they were bankrupt basically, and they were suing everybody and doing the same trick, like giving them merchandise and not paying for it, like invoices, just to cover their losses and something like that. And I end up being closed, it was a process. I lost it because I had the invoice. So basically I took the merchandise. And that was it. But the problem was at that time was that nobody understood failure. Like I was such a big failure then. Like I had this company, we had so much, sales, computers and so on. And it was, everybody was ashamed. Like, oh my God, what did you do? You failed. Oh, it was crazy. I was outcast by society, outcast by everybody. It was brutal. So I wanted to give an example in e-commerce from what you said, because I know a lot of guys who didn't make it. So evoMAG, maybe it's the name, maybe it's you. You succeeded in. Yeah. Okay. So the next step would be I want to talk about punishing failure. So basically, I was very brave as a kid, very brave. I was the first guy in the pool. I didn't care about anything. Starting a business, okay, no problem. Doing drugs, okay, no problem. I was doing everything. I didn't care. But I was very creative. But with failures, with punishment from society, from whatever, I got to the point where I was so afraid of everything, even taking a small step. So my question here is, even the school system, since you're a kid, you're very creative and you're very free. But if you're not free in your mind, like to try things, how can you basically reward failure in your companies and so on, so you can change this mindset? Because everybody is really afraid of failure. This is a big problem. There is no engagement in companies anymore. People are afraid of trying, because they're going to be punished. They're punished in school. They're punished for failure. They're punished in companies. So this is getting worse and worse. So my question is, how can we, I don't know, change this? Or if you have a personal experience with being punished for failure when you're young that you can remember, and how can you change this mindset in yourself and in your company? Like rewards failure or somehow. This is the question.
Okay, I have a very clear image in my mind. When I was young, it was a failure. I was punished because of that, but that turned around in something better. So when I was 16 years old, I was in the high school. I was the youngest one in my room. So I finished with 16, and in Brazil, I'm a Brazilian guy, okay? So in Brazil, we do not have public university for everybody. So public university is for 5-10% of the people. You need to have a test, and if you have the best grades in that specific test, you get a position in the university. I was the guy in high school that was really focused on sports. Very active guy, but books were a little bit far away from me. Okay, so I was not the guy studying a lot. I never needed to repeat the same year, so I was going always to the next year, but I was very addicted about sports. But what happened, I'm not from a family, rich family, so or you pay your private university, that is very expensive in Brazil, or you go for a public. I finished the high school. I was not well prepared. I was competing for each position, you had 20, 15 people competing for one position in the university. I failed clearly. So I was punished from my mom and my daddy. They told me, because I was studying the best private school until the high school. They said, we did our job. University is up to you, or you go to a public university, or you find a way to pay your own university. So I failed. I needed to find a job. I was just 17 years old. I worked, just to let you know, in a gym, because I was playing a lot of sports. So I was a squash coach, a paddle coach, so I was coaching. And then I triggered something special. I found a job to work in a bowling. I don't know if you know bowling, but they opened a big bowling in my city. And it was very expensive to be in that place because it was the hot space in the city. Imagine like when you had your Hard Rock the first time, everybody was going there, all my friends, all the people, rich people, etc. And I was working when they were enjoying. So the punishment, and I was working for making money. I was making a good salary for saving money for going to the university. So the punishment that I got from my family, because I failed to get a position in a public university, make me work a lot when I was just 16, 17 years old. I was working like 15 hours per day, and I was meeting my friends and some rich people. Always they were enjoying their lives there, and I was working. It was 2, 3, 4 a.m. when you are going to the party. The party was there, and I was working, and they were enjoying. So that was so painful for me that I said, okay, I need to find a way to go to university, like all of them, to make my life better. And then I worked like hell for 6 months. I saved money. I didn't spend 1 cent, 1 penny. I was saving all the money. In December, when I finished the year, I said, okay, now I need 1, 2 months to really go deep to the books. I was studying for 6 months in a row when I had some free time. And then I finally got the position at university, in the university for computer science, exactly when I finished university. I paid for my entire university by myself because in Pera I was working as an intern. Here I know that is not that common. The people, they don't work and study at the same time. In Brazil, it's very common when you are in a private university. So I was working as an intern and I was studying at night. And that was the result of a big failure and a big punish from my family. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm still working like a lot. I learned from that experience that if you work hard, it doesn't matter what you'd like to dream about, you can move forward. It's easier to blame the people around when you failed and you don't get there. But if you look at yourself and you go to the mirror, most of the time, when we fail, we can find a solution inside of us. It's great when you have people around you that are going to help you, because once you start helping yourself, trust me, the people are going to help you anyway, because then when I start work as intern, the first boss gave me some help because he saw that I was a hard worker. The second one saw that this guy is studying a lot in the university. They found me some help from the university. So the university was giving me half of the price because I was studying and I was doing some monitoring to the other people. So from a big failure, if you look at yourself and you do by yourself, the help is going to come anyway. So I'm still using this strategy. It still is working. And it's part of life to move on. And that is connected to my first story, the life balance that I would like to tell you. Don't feel bad if you have the feeling that the life balance is not there, because it's very tough to get there. Just keep moving and work in cycles. In one moment, you focus more on your personal life. Other moments, you focus a little more in your professional life. And then you keep the balance. Look at yourself, look at your career, and keep moving. Okay, look at yourself and keep moving.
I'm afraid I don't have example for punishment. No. But I think what is important is your question, how we make people get over their fear of failure. And this fear of failure can be, fear of failure because of punishment, as you said. Maybe it's common, but frankly, in my teams, this was not something that they would think about. There is also another fear of failure, the expectations. So when you work for someone you admire, then you want to be very high and keep the standard very high. And then might be a fear not to fail the expectation, not to fail to reach that standard. I always say that leadership is practice, and if you have experience with working with team, you learn in time a lot how to behave. If you have a good and kind heart, and if you put the people first. And the way I work with my team is always first I look at their potential, and I try to find the right role for each person, and then I talk a lot with them, and I lead by example. And this usually is extremely helpful, and step by step they are also opening up, and they really are feeling free to talk and to come to you to say, okay, I think this time I messed it up. This is what is happening, and they don't come with to ask for solutions, because this is the lesson number one. You should always come with a solution. Think about it before you come to me. And they come with proposals, and then we sit down, we discuss, we fix it. And I don't think about punishment ever. What I'm thinking is, okay, what is wrong in our processes? What we don't have as a tool? How can we fix it so we don't repeat that? So when you look at how to solve the problem now and how to solve the problem in the future so it doesn't appear in the future, instead of focusing on finding who is the responsible and punishing at that moment, then people start to be open and talk to you, and they make mistakes less and less because you also have a feedback faster and you can make the proper adjustments to your processes. So this is my experience with fear of failure.
So we go back even further in time to my childhood, like 86, 95. Next round, I'm gonna talk about how Romania united in, how Moldavia united with Țara Românească, and how nice, how were things back then. So no internet. TV was invented, but not so much in Romania. A little bit of TV we had, so not funny stuff. So the only option that you had was mostly reading books. If you were, I don't know, in times where you're not allowed to go outside. So I was reading a lot of books, and what was happening? I was reading, and then I was looking at people around me. I was like, you guys don't do the right things. I mean, are you stupid? Of course, I didn't have many friends. But I remember I was like 5 or 6, and I had like my first friend. I had a guy who, like 1 year older than me, was really smart and told me all those things about history. So like when you talk with me, I'm getting boring with history too. I like history a lot. So yeah, I didn't have many friends, but I realized how important it is for a child, the friends and the people that were around you, how much they influence you. So when I had my first child, my daughter, she started kindergarten, and when she was about 5, she was starting to have her first friends, and I was looking at those girls. they were so mean, like super mean, like let's make fun of that girl. And one evening, I was at home with my daughter, and it was some really fun song I was playing. I started dancing, and I'm like, "Come on, dance with me." No, I won't dance. Why don't you like the song? I love the song. Why don't you dance? And she said, because children make fun of me, would make fun of me if I would dance. I'm like, oh, okay, this is bad. I mean, she mentioned before that I don't like this kindergarten. I'm like, no, it's okay. You know, those girls can be mean, but you go there. I mean, I don't want to wrap children in the I don't know, in protective, in a bubble and protect them. I mean, you need to face what's happening there, also the bad stuff. And then I realized that's not okay anymore. I mean, it's okay to be exposed to that, but it's not okay to become like normal thing. Like, this is my life. That's how people behave. That's normality. And I realized that I'm failing as a parent. And I changed. I moved her to a different kindergarten, and we were much luckier this time. I mean, a kindergarten that not only was very careful, like it's good to learn if the child wants and is able, then go for it, but also to offer the respect that a child should receive and should give to the teachers and also to the other children around. I'm mentioning the sad thing here. It looks like a happy story. I think it's in mostly is, but the sad thing is that I said that I was lucky. You mentioned about school. School is just a part. It's also family. It's also social media. And if you look at social media, if you talk with your friends, there's so much talk about, let's make fun of those people that are there, that manage to get, that have the courage to get exposed. Being exposed meaning not only to appear at, how you call it, Insula Iubirii. It's but it's also, but it's more about going out there and having the courage to do something, to try to get that amazing job, to try to build an amazing company. And the others will like subconsciously know that you'll probably fail, because everything that you do new, every new idea, whatever you do innovation, whatever you start something new, that's the law. That's, you're probably gonna fail. That statistically, this is what will happen. And it's so easy and recomforting when you make fun of those people that are there. And that's something that I'm doing my best in my company, at home, to teach people. And very often I fail too, because I was raised by this society. And to teach them, like, let's not make fun of those people. They're trying, they get exposed. Don't expect that people are perfect. Because when you do that, you won't have anybody around you that you could stand. And even worse, you will not stand yourself. That's a very big relief for you to realize what are the things that you excel, and what are the things where you're not so good. That's okay. Thank you.
Just one question here. I would like to, because you started with your child and you said you moved him because kids are very aggressive. Like when they smell, whatever, you're fat, he's gonna tell you directly. There is no way around it. There is no filter. So there is no way to protect them like that. So what we did when we were younger, we are a different generation. We owned it very fast. Okay, I'm the fat one, I don't care. Like, you really owned it. Like, we were learning to fight back. Like, owning it and then fight back, making fun of the other, because there was no other way. I mean, you can't protect them forever. And I'm just curious, because this is a big issue with a lot of my friends with their kids and so on. They're actually talking to their kids how to behave in school. Like, it's like parents fighting through the phone with their kids in the school. You know, like, tell him that and don't tell him that and do that and so on. They are not doing it themselves. So I don't know if there is a better way to teach them, to prepare them, because they need to get a thicker skin either way. I mean, we have that because we come from a different generations. I got so much bullied that I didn't care anymore. Okay, let's fight back. So is that the way to go about it? Like, I don't know, protective environment, or actually letting them fight their way through like we did?
So I have two daughters. If you after raising the first one, I was starting to believe like I'm very good at this. I'm very good. They are not children. Like the problem is with the parents. Most of the kids it is, but it's then the second one appeared, and we realized that we know nothing. So I'm not an expert at this. I'm telling you what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to explain to my daughters. The young one, she's 2. She's explaining me that it's okay not to be perfect. And not only that they are not perfect. I'm not perfect either. You know, the children are, after like 3 or 4, they start to idolatrize you. They start to like, you're the best dad ever, and then they like to open their eyes wider. And I don't know, when they become teenagers, they start to hate you because they go with the other extreme. And it's very important to build an image, for me at least, to build an image that I'm not perfect. I'm great at some areas. I could do also better, even though those areas I can do better. But I'm great, yeah, at some points. But there are also other points where I'm not, I'm pretty bad, where I need help. And that's valid for everybody. And there'll be people that will support you, they'll be nice, there'll be people that will be mean. That's how people are there. People are different. And when you find your best friend, like your best friend is so amazing, that this girl is so amazing, and then 3 months later, oh, I hate her. Don't treat her like she's perfect, because don't treat people like they're perfect. Take the best of each person and be happy with that.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think there is such a perfect parent or a perfect child anyway. I will also start with my childhood. Because that's where the story begins, actually. Because I've never heard in my family my father telling my mother that he loves her, or my mother telling my father that she loves him, or my parents telling us, me and my sister, because I have an older sister, that they love us. I never heard that. I love you in my family. Never. So I thought, look, I've seen that in many families around me. And I kind of deserve, being loved and being appreciated and being admired and being encouraged as a child. I thought, look, this is not something that is normal in my family. So my only chance was to gain that love from other people. And what I have done, even when I was, 8 years old, 9 years old, I was really mature at the time, I started to help people around me, to help them with homework, to help them with different things. I sold ice cream, I sold things, flowers in the market. I helped my grandparents because I used to spend my holidays with my grandparents in Iași, a beautiful city, by the way. And I did lots of things to deserve that love from other people, because I thought, look, my parents will never change. They will never tell me that. It was not, now when I'm thinking, it was not something natural to say I love you. I was raised in communist, maybe some of you remember those times. Some of you are really young, you don't remember, you don't have to do that. And I continued to do that. And I began to like it, to do things for other people. Because I gained lots of love from them, lots of appreciation, lots of admiration, and it was a really nice feeling. And I continue to do that. And I do this now. My first job was when I was 16 years old. I was starting as a volunteer at that time also. And I started to invest in myself because I thought, look, I need to be relevant. I need to give something back all the time. And for that, I really need to be very smart and to be very creative and to be present in people's lives. And this is how the story begins. And this is how I encourage my daughters too. I tell them, I think 100 times a day that I love them and I encourage them. And by the way, if you want to become resilient and if you want your children, if you have any, or if you don't, if you wish to have some time in the future, encourage them to practice sports and to go to competitions. I think it's very important. They feel, even when they don't win the competition, that they have participated, they have enjoyed the race, and it's something really rewarding by itself. My daughters, I was a swimmer, and I also practiced basketball, and my daughters were also swimmers, and the other one practiced triathlon. She was really quite a good performer. She won lots of medals, titles, whatever. And she quit when she was 16 because she has realized that it's not for her. She doesn't want a career in sports. But sports, believe me, creates characters and builds characters. And it's very important, even for us as adults. I was talking to Lavinia earlier, and she mentioned something about fear of water. And I thought about myself that I never feared water. It's my common ground, and for my daughters too. And it's something, I think everybody fears something. For me, it's fear of God. I think this is the punishment. If I do something wrong, then something happens and shows me that, look, you have done something wrong, be careful. And I always listen. But I think if you are a good person, like you said before, I think if you do the right thing and you do it right, I think the accomplishment and the achievement comes to you. And this is what I have done with my teams also, because I used to be an HR manager for many years, and I encourage them to fail. I am a perfectionist in all my profiles, and I was an overachiever, perfectionist. It was really hard for me, believe me, not to correct everybody. But I thought, look, I don't have to do this. This is for me. This is my lesson. And you need to fail in order for you to get your lesson. So I think that was the right way for me. I don't know if you will do the same thing. I think you will find your way. And still, I will never consider failure as an option, at least for me and for my family, because they have become really resilient, and they take every day with joy and happiness. And we are not the perfect family, not at all. We have our fights. We are really strong characters, the four of us. But I think the best lesson from all this is that we love each other very much, and we support each other even when things go wrong. Thank you.
I will tell you a story. How we are treating failure at evoMAG, because it is much more easy for me. for many years, in 19 years old of company, I think I identify myself with this company for at least 15. After that period, I was much more mature, and I think about this company as a business. But you will hear about the story of Andrei. Andrei is the second, as I told you before, were two persons. One was my future wife, and one was Andrei. And Andrei, we grow, and at evoMAG we deliver by our cars. And we didn't have cars. We had blue shark, yellow shark, white shark. All the cars were like a shark in our discussions. And Andrei had to deliver some goods to some clients. And all our cars at the beginning were some things that in these days were not able to be driving in the street. Were something very bad. Dacia cars. 1310, you understand. if someone remembers that car. And in that car you have to put water on something to the engine to be cooled. And you have something in the board of the car to tell you, okay, you have to put water. And Andrei didn't check that, and didn't check one time. And we had only one car, and he broke the engine. And it was the only car that we have in the company. And in weekends, I had some friends, and all the days in the week, we use the car, and in the weekend, we repair the car, only one car. And Andrei broke the car. And I said, Andrei, please, look on that board and put some water. No problem. This is how we are treating failure in our company, because before we try to see the principles were the mindset of the entrepreneur. If I say something, all the guys from the company, they think that this is the right way in the company. And I say, okay, no problem, Andrei, you broke the car, that's it, we will fix the car, and then we go again. After a while, Andrei called me with another car after some months and say, okay, I have a problem. Okay, to the car? Yes, to the car. Where are you? Okay, in Bucharest. Okay, I will come there. Because I didn't have a choice. I had to see myself, all the problems in the company. I go there, I see the same problem. Andrei broke the car, the other car in the same way. I say, Andrei, what happened? We have this is our limits, and you broke everything. Andrei is the second person in the company, is still in the company. It's a very good person. He has a very warm place, because after a while you know that it's warmer and warmer. But Andrei, in that moment, challenged me a lot. And this is how we are treating failure still today. Because we are not punishing people or something, or okay, you have to pay by your salary or something. It's not good. It's not like, okay, you have to not have the responsibility of and now we have some rules. But in 19 years old company, we didn't put someone in a discussion, okay, you have to pay, you have to put in your salary. Somehow it's working. It's not so easy to manage, because sometimes we have a lot of problems. I will tell you another story. But this is the way how we are thinking to treat failure. Okay, it's a failure. Let's manage together. Remember, it was a car, but in that moment was a very important car for us. And this is how we are treating like attitude in the company. I think failure, it's an option in our company, because I think it's the only way to give courage to our colleagues to try to grow the business, because if only some 2, 3, 5 people will grow the business by have courage to try things, okay, we will stay in that moment for many years. Thank you.
Okay.
No, nothing. We talked about education, then it was my next question. But anyway, it's to start with the company culture and so on. So
Actually, I think
education, whatever you want.
you open it with education, and then it kind of bounced also to the culture. But just, I think your question was too-folded, and that's why we kind of we got it. So you see how our brain works. It actually goes to the next thing that we want to do. Listen, I can go back to my childhood as well. I think I failed. I was punished. But I'm looking sometimes at our kind of public here, and then when we say 1986, 1985, and then 1990, it sounds like far away when we seem like kind of old when we say that. Well, we didn't have computers, which is true. I'm kind of the first generation that was doing informatics at school, and then I was playing Prince, which was kind of fun to kind of know the shortcuts at that point. But just as a fun story, I think our educational system evolved. Now, it's to be seen how it evolved. But if I look at the way school was when I was a kid, it's very different than what we are seeing today. I do remember that, we were punished by our Romanian kind of, literature the teacher because a group of us who were attending also competitions, we kind of started to develop a bit of an ego, thinking that we are the best. So she wanted to prove us wrong. Thus, she listened to us for 1 hour, and then the 5 of us actually landed with a 4 at the end of that hour. And then in our kind of, notebook, you needed to go home for the parents to sign. So it was funny when I got home, because I didn't know how to say to my parents that I have a 4, which is, on a scale to 10, it's not that good. And it was the first, actually. It didn't remain. All 5 of us actually had a 9, because it was converted to a 9 at a certain point after we learned our lesson. Not sure if we did, but that's a different conversation. I think it's funny how my father reacted. So typically during that time, 4 was associated with a chair. And the number 4 was associated with, like, you're bringing furniture. And my dad paid me, and he said, this is, and he gave, I don't know what was the amount, but he went to kind of, his jacket. He took out the money and said, for you and the furniture that you brought to our house. And I was like, I was expecting, a fight, to get scolded or things like that. So that was the fun part. I also had teachers throughout school that were kind of, pulling the ponytail that girls were having, or pulling your hair, or having a different behavior. I think in a way this kind of build us to kind of not to do the same thing, that doing an error or questioning the teacher shouldn't be something that is wrong. And I think we see a different generation right now. But I think that if we look from the public education step, I think we are still far away on how we want to do things. I think the fear of failing or being ashamed or, being called the kid that doesn't learn or looks in a certain way, it's still there. And probably it will be, because we inherit things from one generation to another. Either we like it or not, parents do kind of, when they have kids, they do also have a legacy as well with their kids. And it can be taught and it can be learned the way we do it. And you go through therapy and you start understanding, why is it that you are an overachiever? Why is it that you want to be successful every time? Why is it that, you don't cry or you cry? And things like that. And this is how you learn also to kind of accept that you shouldn't be perfect every time. And that perfection is it's kind of always a beautiful illusion. So that's kind of the way that I see, and I think about education, we can have a very, very long conversation on where we are now. And I think each one of us can pitch in and say, what are the things that we did to help? And I know, Cătălin, you're doing a tremendous work now with going to high schools, talking about, demystifying a little bit some of the things that were instilled in each one of us and also in the generation today. But going back to your second part of the question about, so what is it that we do so we encourage people actually to fail? I'm fortunate enough to be part of an organization that has a strong culture that allows to fail. So basically, it goes to this. Our foundation for the culture that we have in Microsoft is a growth mindset, meaning that we believe that people can change, learn, and grow, and that talent is not something that it's predetermined, it's something that it's nurtured. And that goes also by translating into the fact that we want our people to be curious, we want our people to learn, and we also want our people to fail and not to be afraid about failing. And that kind of sits also at the basis of innovation. You will not be able to innovate, especially in a tech industry, without failing. I know that a lot of people are seeing the great products that our company is releasing, and not only Microsoft, many other companies in many industries. But the reality is that until you get to have that one product that has success, the reality is that there are many others that are run, developed, but they are not successes. And I think that's the one that helps kind of, having that mindset of not failing. And then just as an example, I did also kind of, messed it up when I was in Microsoft. I think it was in my first year. And I mean, I was getting used with policies, procedures, and so on and so forth. And then we had a talent moving from one role to another. And I approved by mistake that person getting a certain number of stock. It was a huge amount at that point. And I didn't realize that people that moving internally, they do not get that particular stocks because they get it when they are hired or based on performance. So the amount was above, I would say, if I recall well, 20K USD for a person who was in an engineering role. And the thing is that for that particular amount to be provided, because the person actually learned that we'll have that as well, you needed a CVP approval, which is the CVP from the entire segment. And I was like, panicking because I didn't know what was going to happen if something that, is going to lead to lose my job, or then also the person who was in recruitment, because it was an error from both. But the reality wasn't that it happened as such. The first thing that we did is to fix it. The approval was taken, the person received the money, and then the question was, what is it that we can do better for people in our organization, being at the beginning or not at the beginning in the company, not to do the same mistake. So I think that's the one that creates the safe space for people to fail also in, and I know it's a kind of, a small or silly example, but this shows the way we are wired and how failing is embedded in the DNA of our culture as an organization.
Thank you. I would continue with you just a little bit. So this culture, this is something, because this is a big company, it's something that, came from the US. I mean, how do you preserve it? How do you impose it in your company? If you have some guidelines, I don't know. How do you this mentality, how does propagate throughout your company? If you have an answer for that, maybe it's.
Well, I think, culture is made by people. Culture is a concept, but it's made by the people that you have in the company. And I know that we talk a lot about Microsoft and we see a lot of goodness in the last years, but we've been through the company went through its own journey in shifting the mindset and the culture. And that was not something that happened overnight. It took quite some years. It's about making things simple. It's about selecting the right people that actually resonate with the mission that you have, the principle that you have, and the values that you have. So I was saying that the foundation is in the growth mindset, which I know it's translating super simple that, this is what we want to do. This is what we are looking at. And then it goes one layer back. So one layer below. And it will say, so what are the leadership principles that you're having? What is it that you expect from the leaders in the organization? And leaders do matter. But the reality, the way we look at leadership is that anyone can be a leader in the organization. It's not about the top leadership. Because you might have a group of people that are designing these principles, which we have done with the Neuroscience Institute in US. And we were looking, and there is an entire philosophy about how you're building leadership principles. And you don't go with 100 of them. You go by buckets of 3 or 5, because this is how people are remembering. And this is how you make kind of, you instill the theory, but then you need to apply it in practice and see how it's applied in practice. And this is how it actually works. And we've been through a journey on kind of, lead by example. And I think Lavinia was saying that. And leading by example is that when you look at this principle, you need to translate them into action. And action means that it can be applied and it can be done by each one of the organization. And that's why we're saying that each one of us is a leader. When you're seeing someone, a colleague that is not treated well, you should act. That's the expectation that we are having. Which means at the end of the day, that person also acted and took the lead of doing something about it. And that's just a simple behavior. So that's how it's kind of embedded. You take the theory and you translate it into actions. And it goes to the people managers. Because of course we have people managers. We have the leaders and we have the people managers. We have over, I would say, 18K people managers across the world for a population of 200K across the world. So what is it that you do? Because these are the individuals that are working firsthand with the people that you have in the organization. So we went and looked and we took feedback. We took feedback internally. We took feedback from outside. We look at other organizations. But we are first interested to understand what is that our people will look and will want to have in their people managers. What are some of the traits? We look at research. And then we kind of frame it in a very simple way, which is a very simple framework, which is called model coach care. Because you need your manager to model, to be a role model for the people in your organization. You need a people manager also to coach. And sometimes, let's be realistic about it. It's not that you're coaching on certain aspects of your life, but you are human beings. You cannot switch your button when you're at work and your personal life doesn't kind of, step in. It does. We are the same person at work and at home. So it comes also with what we are influenced from, what we have personally. So that's why coaching is important. And the care piece. The care piece is that we treat people with humanity, and then we want for people to feel that they are cared and they do matter. And it goes to that. And then, of course, it goes one layer, and then you look at the values. And the values say that, we need to treat each other with respect, and that's the first value that we have. We need to act with integrity, not only internally, but also externally. And we keep one another accountable. And that's the third value that Microsoft has. And this is how we look, and this is how it translated across the organization. And of course, you have priorities, you have KPIs that you're having, each one of us. But this is how you translate it into real action. And then, of course, the one that is governing overall is the mission of Microsoft, which is empower every person in every organization to achieve more. The empower piece, it's that it's built, and we fundamentally believe that with the right tools, anyone can achieve anything they want. When you have this mindset and then you are wired as such and you do resonate with that, that's the platform that we offer to our colleagues in the organization. This is the ground that we offer to them to kind of reach their potential. And this is how we position as an organization. And I think we've seen it in the last years, and I think, we just want to share, because the way we position is that we are an organization that we learn. We don't know all. And we say it very clearly, if you want to come and act as a know-it-all person, then maybe it's not the right role for you. And as long as you have the learning mindset, this is also going to allow you to learn and also fail while you're learning. Take the lesson, get up, and move on. And I think that's why I resonated what Corina said to me, because you can see it as a failure, you can see it as a setback. But I'm seeing people doing something, not achieving or failing on a certain thing or a project, but they say, I'm going to do it again and again. And we have employees that are creating and are developing software, and they have patents because they invented things. It didn't happen from the very beginning. they fail multiple times. But they have the platform, the support from the organization and from the people that they are working with. And that's what I'm also kind of, having with my team. In the sense that I have my team coming and say, oh, I did this. And I said, okay, so let's see what is there. And one thing that I wanted to kind of, and I know it's quite, I would say, it will put a smile on your face. It will raise probably a question mark. We are working, the ones what we are here in this panel, in large organization, or we have our own companies, or we are freelancers. But the reality is that we are not perform brain surgery. So we are working in large organization. That's not brain surgery. I do expect, to have a kind of, be afraid a little bit if you are a surgeon, or if you're working in medicine. That will be kind of a real problem if you're failing, and not necessarily taking the lesson, but actually not fail there. But every day what we do, it's a job that we like, hopefully most of us. We want to do it, and you should be encouraged to kind of have the space to do so. Medicine, on the other hand, again, that's a different conversation. And as long as we don't perform brain surgery, and this is what I was sharing with my team at a certain point, that let's be real, we did a mistake. Yes, we will correct that. It's not like we killed people, or we had that kind of, something would have happened to the people. And we explain. And the other piece that it's important is communicate. Communication is key. Even when, and I know in HR, and that's probably kind of, one of the areas that at a certain point I would love to change, because in HR you're not able to kind of say what you're thinking. That will be interesting to kind of really say what you're thinking. Well, I know that you can do. Some of us might not do. But communicate to people as transparent as you can and ensure that they understand what is the rationale behind. In my experience so far, I work with a lot of people. The one thing that they told me they appreciate is the fact that I'm being transparent, regardless of the information that I'm sharing, regardless of the outcome of any particular project or situation. But I'm doing that in a candid way and with care, and explaining also the arguments behind. And you might be surprised how much people do understand.
Thank you. We're going to start. I touched the nerve there. I got you started. I love it. We're going to go like this, so it comes. So at evoMAG, I'm going to go personal now, directly with you. Do you have a culture, a mission, a vision, all this? Do you reinforce it? How is it? Because I wanted this diversity. You started the company from scratch. You're, so I'm very curious about the culture of the company in terms of, as you said, with examples, but the values that you write on the table, as you said, they are transmitted directly from person to person. So, but can you tell us a little bit more about the culture in evoMAG as a, how you enforce it, basically? So,
in 19 years old, we didn't know, we didn't have HR only in the last 5 years. And I was very lucky to find a guy that it's HR of evoMAG. It's a very, very smart guy. And okay, we make an MBA, we go to the school. When I didn't know how to do it, I'm going to the school or a book or something on a course. And the problem was in the last 5 years, these guys came and he said, okay, you have this problem and that problem. The only way that I'm thinking is to work. I don't care, okay, or I'm not so empathic. I was not so empathic until I received a very beautiful voice, and I developed this empathy very much in the last 5 to 9 years. And these guys helped me to translate what my employees, my colleagues, because, okay, let's work and we have that mission. My mission is to grow the business and to build a better business, a big business for my family and for my colleagues, for a better life, because everything in an employee starts from the foame, the hunger, and the real hunger in our way was the real okay, the way that I want to have more. And okay, with my colleague Antonio, okay, what is the culture of the company, what are our values, what are we reinforce or not, and we have some values put on the based by our experience. This is very, very important. And every day, I didn't know, but the culture came from me, and the way I'm treat my colleagues, and the way that we are doing the things in the company. But now the culture come from my top management and my old manager, and then or my colleagues. And every day we try with empathy, because it's very important, to try to understand, okay, what is the problem, where we are going. We try to have in the company some types of peoples, because in the past, okay, you want to, you know how to do it, okay, come in our team and we will see how you will manage the job. But now, because of him, and his HR, it's very important. I didn't know. Really, yeah. Really, and I think to myself, why didn't have HR in our company? Because we didn't have the rotation of the people. The people are not living on evoMAG. It's a very hard working place, but it's a family. Okay, you have a problem, let's try to solve it. You need money, you have a problem, personal problem, okay, let's manage it together. But in the last, okay, as I said, 6 to 7 years, all the system, all the company systems changed, and we lost some guys, and I lost a lot of time to try to take a lot of people in the company. And that moment, on the hard way, because I spent weeks in interviews, was a stupid decision, and CEO to stay all the time in interviews. This was our clique, after a failure and a lot of frustration. We managed to have a person that translate our attitude in a way that everybody understands. And we have a book, okay, a book. It's some papers, some words on the paper. This is the way we are doing things on evoMAG, and it's a story, and our examples. And one example was like this: in the pandemic, my colleagues, that I put all the time my colleagues before my clients, and I say this here, not to all my clients. And in the pandemic was a very tough situation on call center. Everybody was very tough on my colleagues, because they didn't know how to treat this situation. They need computers and phones and printers and everything to their home. We didn't. The business doubled, tripled in only weeks. Okay, how to manage this? And they come to me and the manager. Okay, they treat us very well, our clients. Okay, let's stop. Let's have a discussion. And I said to them, okay, take your hate. The client doesn't know your name, your real name, your real person. Take your hate and try to do all the best for the client. You will manage to resolve the problem. good. You will not manage, that's it. It's a good. You don't have a KPI to answer or service level or something. We will throw a while to the trash. And this is an example how we are treating all the situation in our company, and these are stories, and everybody that comes in our company read that stories, and I say, okay, we have some rules like, okay, it's a normal for thief or and we have some tips. We sell iPhone 15 or 16. Everybody try to zero zero tolerance, zero tolerance, or something like this. And it's our stories, and everybody, and it's our culture, I think, at the end of the day.
Thank you. This is amazing how very different, the cultures are from Microsoft, and how you build yours from your examples, and then eventually getting, okay, we're to this point, and let's see how to make this into a culture. So, yeah.
I tried to some persons to came in our company and to take a lot of papers to understand our colleagues. And at the end of the day, they didn't feel that that paper. Okay, these are our values. Okay, and what? They didn't lived that values. Now, because of stories and situation that we were on, they lived these stories, and much in our situation is working better.
Stories work better. Yeah. Thank you very much. Keep going.
Well, I used to work for many companies during the last, 25 years. And I think at the end of the day, it's who you are as a person. It's being true to yourself and to your values and to your principles and stick to them. Because if you are afraid to talk in front of everybody, if you are afraid to be vulnerable, we are human beings, everyone agrees that, right? We are who we are. We are not supposed to be afraid of telling this to everybody, we are not supposed to be afraid of being vulnerable. Imagine when you were a child. You are not afraid to say anything in front of your parents, except your parents maybe punished you for what you said or for what you did. And then you started to hide things from your parents, right? So I think the best way to encourage a healthy culture, we are talking about companies, small companies, big companies, society, gatherings like this, brainstorming sessions, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think the only way is to be who you are and to be true to yourself. At the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, to be happy with who you are. Everybody has values, but once you compromise, and you start compromising, and you start to do it every day, you lose yourself. And you get to the question, who am I? What am I doing with my life? Is it somebody more important than myself? And who is leading my life after all? And I get this question from people I work with. And it's not easy for them to acknowledge that they live their life only 10% or 15%. The rest is about the job, is about the friends, it's about being known for whatever, it's about the online presence, it's about being famous, it's being rich, it's whatever. So I think the most important question for me, at least, is who am I? And what's the most important thing in my life? And what can I do in order to make it better? And to make it better every day. What can I do to improve a little bit every day? So I think that's the way we should shift our mind because we are not encouraged in schools. We were talking about education, and we are not encouraged to collaborate. We are not encouraged to encourage the others, to be vulnerable. We live in a, I think everything becomes a transaction. Even the recruitment process becomes a transaction when everybody is overachieving and wants to oversell, and this is not the real us. And I think what's online, it needs to stay online, but the real life is here. What we live every day, the good and the bad about every day. So I think it's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to, first of all, to set up a little bit the context what building games is, because we're a mobile gaming company. We build games on mobile, and from outside things might look very easy. I mean, I get this feeling like people had the feeling that they're I don't know, they're very good at building games. Like gaming is like football, women, and politics. Everybody thinks that they're good. In fact, we're really bad at all three aspects. And also in gaming is much more complex than it looks like. There are people like George. I need advice on a new game or that I build, or I want to get hired as a game designer, and like, okay, but what's your experience? I don't have like professional experience, so why do you say that you're good as a game designer? Well, I play many games. How many games? Like, I don't know, probably 100. Okay, but how many movies did you watch? Probably 1,000. So there's one thing playing games, another thing is building games. The biggest problem with building games is like games are affected by the Anna Karenina effect. Does anybody know what the Anna Karenina effect? Somebody that knows there? I'll go very fast through it. So the book starts with the idea that every happy family is alike. Every unhappy family is different. Why? Because in order for a happy family, for a family to be happy, like all the requirements need to be met. If there's one thing that is not met, then that family will not be happy. And this thing is applied also in different areas, like animal domestication. In order for a big mammal animal to be domesticated, there are like 6 or 7 requirements that need to be met. If there's one requirement is not met, then that animal cannot be domesticated. Like zebra, for example, all the requirements are met but one, the temper. They're awful. So zebra, like if you try to, if they bite you, they catch they don't let go of the bite. Or if you try to catch with the lasso, they look and they avoid the lasso. So yeah, I hope there aren't zebras.
Are we still talking about the company culture?
Yeah. I went a little bit.
I'm in the jungle.
So the idea is that in order for a game to be successful, there are all those requirements need to be met. First, usually people they say I have this idea of a game, they start building it, and 2 years later it's not finished. And the process, most efficient, what we consider the most efficient process up until now, is like you go from a different, like you have an idea, okay, first of all, test it on marketing, test it along with other ideas, and see which idea is more successful to your target audience. If that's proven like this is the best idea out of the one that you tested, then you go ahead. You start building a very small game that covers the first experience, the first day, like, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour. Because if you are able to bring players into your game, and then you manage to keep them for half an hour, for a second, you convince them to come back for a second session, then you're on to something. Not only that people are coming and they're leaving, but they're excited about what you're building, and they look forward to get more. And then you focus on long-term retention, because we're building games that are freemium, so people can play forever for free, and some of them also pay money. And then you want those players to stay as long as possible, even if they don't pay. That's okay. They build the community. They give feedback, and we're happy to have also those kind of players. And then you work on that. And if that doesn't, if you fix that, then you have to focus on monetization to make some of those players pay, because otherwise you cannot pay employees, you cannot build the game furthermore and market it and so on. And those are just some of the things that the most important things. There are also other variables that influence, but those are the most important. If there's one thing that doesn't work well, then you don't have a successful game. So that's where we are. So the idea is not go out there like have a big launch with your game. You advance in steps, because there's no way that you're going to have everything done right from the start. And if you put too much out there, you won't know what doesn't work and what works. So we we take every fight, little by little. We win it, and then we advance. And even in that case, 2 years later, we might come back and say, "Oh, this didn't work." And that was the moment when we look back and realize that yes, that wasn't a successful project. Let's call it a failure. And why should we advance furthermore? Why should we do this after we spent 2 years and people like people that are work for us, your specs, for your ideas? Why should we advance and build a new game? It's like we learned so much from this, and basically that's life in gaming. We try different games. They work. Most of them don't work, and some of them work. And for that we need a set of values as a company. I don't know if we still have. I'm speaking for so long. Maybe I should pass the microphone.
No, it's interesting because you're in the failing business. That's your business. You have to fail a lot. So your culture needs to be like that. Like you need very resilient people to take these steps and fail and build all this game, then throw everything to trash. Throwing to trash, that's crazy. It's all your work there. So they get attached to it. So
yes. So very fast, we have 3 values. There are many because people usually forget them. So it's growth mindset. We expect as a company to grow, and we expect from people to grow, and that's what we ask from people. And also it also comes back like we are here also for you to support your growth, being like a career, being financial. So we're here, we ask what we need that, and we offer that as a return. Empathy, because we're building stories, we're building experience, so you need to be empathic first of all with the players, who are not just spreadsheets of numbers, because all that behavior is turned into spreadsheets. But it's not only that, it's also like people are feeling, and you need to put also your magic there. And you need to be empathic also with your colleagues, and as a return we give back the same thing. Like, here's an environment where people understand what are your needs, understand what do you want, and we'll work together for this common goal. And the third thing is results oriented, because it's very easy in this industry to go into like idea mode, like dreaming mode. I have this idea, and usually that's how usually discussions are started. In most of the companies, and then you search for a problem for that idea. And what we're trying to do is like, okay, we have like people are coming up with ideas, and that's nice. But the first question that we ask is, what problem are we trying to solve, or what opportunity we're trying to get here? And then when that thing is clear, then we move. Okay, that's one idea to improve that number, but what could be also other potential ideas that would improve that KPI? And then you turn the discussion from your idea is good or bad towards, okay, let's build different ideas together, and then we look at them more in detail and try to find the best solution for a problem. So more or less, this is what we're doing in terms of values. While in terms of failing, they are connected also in a way with the way that we work and the way that we fail and the way that we succeed. But at the end of the day, it's just what Mihai was saying. How do you react when somebody does a really big fuck up? That's how you cannot like say, yeah, there's no problem. Yeah, sometimes there is a problem. And the question is, what did you learn from that? What did we learn from that? Because after, I don't know, 2 years and more than €1 million invested in a game that doesn't work out, yes, you need to learn. You can like, okay, let's not look at that thing. Let's move to a different. No, let's have some conclusion. Let's see what worked, because there are many things that work and you can use them in the next game. Some others didn't work, so you really have to analyze in a rational way as much as possible, because there's a lot of pressure. People that make decisions in games, and not only in games, in every project that you're doing, they're always judged by the others. It's a normal thing. People are saying, oh, people usually have a strong opinion of what others should do. Problem is when they have to make decisions. That's like there are many people that are also able to make decisions and stick to that and believe and learn and listen to others, explain the logic. That's very important. That's the rationale. Like Adina was mentioning that. Explain what's the logic. I'm not trying to convince you that this is a good the best idea ever, and this will for sure work. I don't know, but that's the logic. And if it will fail, then I need your input and you to understand what's the logic and what would be other ideas that we can implement.
So basically extract as much as you can from the failure, from the learning. The learning process is very important in your business. Thank you very much, George. Thank you.
So about the culture, I think I will challenge a little bit Corina, because she spent a little bit of time with my team. So I will ask you, Corina, what kind of culture do you think we have?
You delegated the answer one.
Well,
CEOs.
This is a good one.
CEOs, they don't answer.
It was yeah. She likes to delegate. I know, Lavinia. She likes to delegate a lot. Actually, it was a mix of feelings there, because some people were really open and really eager to talk and to express themselves, and some of them were really afraid. And what I've seen is that the ones who were eager to talk were the older ones in the company. The ones who already knew the culture, knew the way of doing things, knew each other, knew the way of thinking. And the other ones were the new ones, the newcomers. They were actually, I think they were afraid a little bit about the others' opinions, not exactly, they were not really familiar with the way of doing things. But at the end of the day, they were all involved and they were really happy with the challenges I have given them, which means they have changed a little bit the perspective, and they've seen that they are not supposed to be afraid, because nobody was supposed to punish them or to do something wrong to them. I think they have begun to be open and to be relaxed. I love your stores. I love the brand. I've seen some of your difficulties because I have a good sense of observing things and people. I think it's still building. You're still building your culture. You're not there anymore, but the company is still building the culture. I mean, it's not final. It's a process, which is good because it's on the right way. It's something growing, and it's nice because people feel part of it, and they feel important. And I think this is the right way of doing things.
We've all...
Thank you for the challenge.
So now I will not delegate completely.
The final touches.
The final touches. Thank you, Corina. What I think it's important to say, we are not doing brain surgery, yes, as CEOs or as managers, but it's very important to understand that we are responsible for creating a healthy workplace. And this is as important as being a brain surgeon, in my opinion. So what I'm always trying to do, and it's not only me, because it's not possible to be done by only one person, is to create a place where really people come with joy at work. And I want to go a little bit deeper here, because I'm talking often about kindness. But I need to make one specific statement, thank you, that kindness, that is not weakness, and kindness doesn't mean you should be suckered or fooled by your people. You need to set very clear standards, very clear rules for your people. Stick to the rules, stick to the standard. And then you can be kind in the way you are sending the message, because sometimes we need to take very hard decisions. Also as CEO, also as HRs, we need to fire people. These are very difficult decisions, but it's very important how you go to the people and what solution you find for them, or at least try to find for them. This is why I'm saying that kindness should be part of what a manager is, what a CEO is, because they are entrusted with life of people. Yeah, this is an effort that should come from everyone, because culture in a company is not done by the CEO, it's not done by one manager or another. It's actually done by everyone. And you should, of course, the CEO is the head, and we always say that the CEO is the one who is setting the tone. So the CEO should live the culture, act according to the culture, and then everything goes farther and farther into the organization. In order to build the right culture for your company, because it could be different, it could be done in different ways, you need to find the people who have similar values and principles. And this is something you should not, you should find ways to include it even in the interviews when you are recruiting people, to understand if they have the right attitude and if they will fit with the culture of the organization, and then to decide further what you do. In the company that I was representing until recently, this is what I was doing. And for me, it was very important to involve the people in the strategic decision. So we had a meeting where we were setting a strategy for 3 years, and I was inviting the managers, but also key opinion leaders from the teams, because as you said also before, leader is not a title. A leader can be also someone who is not having a managerial position. So it is important to involve them also in your decision. And they come with great ideas that you can develop and coming, with all the knowledge from the floor that maybe you might miss sometime. It's helping build a really healthy strategy. And once they are involved, will also apply it more easily. So, it's not rocket science. You just need to care about what you are doing and involve people to be next to you, and as much as you should be also next to them.
Thank you very, very much, Lavinia. It's very easy to see the culture of Douglas because we've all been to, to the stores. We know how people act. Farlei, this is the last. We've been over the time. You have a very great challenge now, impose the culture of Stefanini all over the world. This is something like all these countries and so on. What are you gonna do?
Well, I by myself, I'm believing, and I am a very good example for this type of. It's not about conflicts, but reality that we face in all big organizations. Like she mentioned Microsoft, so they are everywhere in the world. So we have other local companies. We have the culture as well. I'm a Brazilian. Trust me, is a huge difference. The behaviors of Brazilians versus Romanians or Europeans. When I'm going to US now, I'm facing different challenges there. One of the reasons that I took the decision to move with the new challenges because I'm going to face new regions, as is the Indians. They are very different from all of us. Chinese, very different as well. So as a company, I like to say that Stefanini is acting still as like a big startup. So it's 38,000 people and we are in 41 countries and some partners in other countries. But we are owned by one guy, is Mark Stefanini. He's very active in the company. He has a very peculiar type of behavior, hard worker, always working with a lot of ethics. For sure, he's leading by example. So we have the attitudes in the company. We have 7 attitudes, very clear, be humble. And when you look at Marco, you say, wow, that's a very humble guy. So, and you look, say, I lead by example. This guy is working like hell. So he is a little bit of the style of the company. So if one day you are going to meet him, you are going to understand what I mean. I joined the company in the same situation. So I have my style. I'm considering myself a very simple guy as well. I'm a hard worker. But you know, what I learned already in Brazil is a continent. So I'm from the south of Brazil. And we have the culture that is very strong because it's a lot of influence from Germans and Italians, etc. You go to the middle of Brazil, is a different style. You are in Rio de Janeiro, trust me, is a different world in Brazil. And then you go to Northeast, when you have the most beautiful beaches, the style of the people, they are very calm, you know. They say, if you like to go to a holiday, there. You need to go to the beach with the bus, with the full team. When you need to leave, you ask them what time we should come back to the bus, 5. No, relax. You are on holiday. Come when you want. So it's a different world in one country. How you build a culture in a company when you have so many differences. And then now we have the Europeans. Brazilians, we are not that good. I'm not proud of that, but the reality, we are not structured. We are not sometimes well prepared, but we are very, very, very good when you need to improvise. So when you see the big football players, the soccer players, you can see they are good because they can improvise something that the other ones cannot do it. It's cultural. So now we are here. Europeans are more traditional. They don't take risks. They need to understand that they have everything ready. When you cook, If you don't have the right spoon for cooking, no, I cannot cook. So you need to have all the package there. The other round, we have the culture in the company. It's a Brazilian company when the owner is not structured. He likes to improvise. He's improvising. So you need to bring all these strengths and differences and go to the same direction. I'm going to pick up a piece from all of them. First, there is no company culture. We are the culture. The people there are the culture. Normally, when someone has a totally different style versus the style of the company, the person is not going to stay. Or you bring the company, I like to say, you promote the guy to the market, or the person is not going to feel okay there. So is one aspect. Second aspect, we build a culture. I learned this expression from here, because you don't use this expression there. It's like walk the talk. The attitudes and the culture they are very beautiful in PowerPoints. You can even have it in the walls of your company, but you are going to see the culture of the company every day. You say, wow, it's a beautiful selling point. We are all salespeople. I'm a customer-centric. Customers first. And then you have a conflict with a customer that you didn't manage to deliver properly. The customers call you, and you send the customers to hell. Very strong customer centricity. So daily you start feeling the culture. From her, I'm going to pick up the example. Lead by example is like that. When you have a decision and you say, I'm a guy that really believe I'm not taking decisions by myself. I really bring the people that I trust, and we take decisions for sure. I need sometimes from 5 good ideas, I need to pick up one that I will go for. And I'm asking the team to respect my final decision, but I'm bringing them to the discussion. And then why? Because I'm always telling them, my job in this company is not to be the smart guy in the room. I would like to be the stupid guy in the room, always. Second, my job is to make sure that I have the right people in the right place. And then this is something that you would like to say. But then all the time, you have the wrong person in the wrong place in the day-by-day activities. And the people come to you and say, that guy cannot manage that one. No, I chose him. So you are talking about right environment, but you don't build the right environment. Right people in the right place. That is, you start building the culture about being responsible for something that you can take care, and you should sometimes to have the chance to failure as well. Another aspect that I think that is very, very relevant in any company when you think about like bringing different type of cultures or regions. Now you saw, I share a little bit, is like from the 41 countries, maybe with me, I'm going to have 20 countries. You can imagine the difference from all of them. But I'm always telling everybody, I will build a collaborative environment. When you need to build a collaborative environment, and then you go to take a decision by yourself and you don't listen to everybody, doesn't exist a collaborative environment. Or always just one person is you always take the ideas from one person because you like that person more than the others. So, walk the talk daily. So the culture in the company is about growth mindset or quality. You talk about how we have quality first, and then you deliver a poor service because you look at your numbers. Your team is going to feel it, or you are going to feel it. You talk about we respect people, and then somehow when you are in a conflict model, someone in your organization is shouting to someone. It's not acceptable when you have in your attitudes like we respect people. So I believe that it doesn't matter what you have on the walls, how you behave, lead by example. is coming from not just the top, but the full environment. And that is going to spread. I always like to say the people in the I'm a Brazilian. Brazilians are very happy, okay? We are not shy at all. I'm here very shy because I have people much better than me, so I want to learn. But I'm not like to come to the environments, and I'm coming with a big bună dimineața, very poor Romanian. And then I'm joking, Floriz is mad because I'm doing the full sentence. Bună dimineața, ce face foarte bine și tu. So I'm just showing that I know a little bit of Romanian, and they start laughing. I'm doing that consciously. Why? To relax the environment. Do you know what is normally the behavior of the people when you have... She was in this position. Most of them, they are CEOs or in really high position. The people, they go to the shy mode. They stop talking. I'm doing that consciously to build the environment that it doesn't matter where you are, at your position, you always should come happy. I'm a very challenging guy as well. But you don't need to shout with everybody. Second, you don't need to look brave to show to them that you are leading. So you can even ask my guys, they are in the back. They know my style very well. I'm a demanding guy, but we can relax. You don't need to shout. You can show what is right or wrong. And that's the culture that I think that all of us can build in our organizations. You don't need to wait for your top managers. You can be part of the culture. In my opinion, the people sometimes, they have more power than they believe. Again, PowerPoints are beautiful, but just inside of the computer. And our attitudes, that is going to build something that your colleagues are going to look at you and say, wow, that is a place that I like to work. Because when I'm looking around me, when I'm surrounded by problems, the people still, they keep the focus, the right and positive aspect. It's not going to be just flowers, but most of the time, the environment should be very productive. So I have a big challenge. I had problems with different type of cultures before. Now, that's I learned from my mom. Never throw a rock so far away, because maybe you need to walk even more to pick it back to you. So I was sometimes concerned about some culture that now I'm going to manage these guys. So I need to find my way to learn from them and connect with them as well. So it's important as well. There's an old sentence, they say, don't look at the nerd. For old people, this is for old people like me. I'm very old, okay? So they say, don't look at the nerds and make joke about them. Maybe in the future they are going to be your leaders or your bosses. But that was an old story because of Bill Gates, very shy guy, you know. Now it's the same. Be careful in the environment that you work, because one day that guy can be your leader or your boss as well. So let's build up a good culture, respecting people and doing our best, okay?
Thank you. I want to thank our panelists and give one round of applause to everybody for sharing. I don't know, I learned so much from so different perspectives. It's exactly what I wanted to hear. And your challenge, Farlei, good luck with that. We wish you all the best. Also, I would ask you to stay at the networking session to get to know each other. And if you have questions, you can find them individually if they're not going to run away directly after this. And enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much. Okay.